Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. This time I'm doing something a bit different for a video currently. You see, I am going to review the recently released Avengers Endgame, created by Marvel Studios. Now, this is going to be a spoiler review, so I am going to warn you there are spoilers, yeah, so let's start at the beginning. At the beginning, there's a scene in which all the heroes reunite with each other, and it's all good, happy days. And then they like how do I explain this? And then they like have to go to they have to go to Shrek's place because Shrek had recently destroyed bits and pieces of reality using his special stone things. I don't know. So they head off to his place. But when they get there, they find amazingly that he had used his special redstone to destroy every other stones. Basically meaning that they started with that basically they're left with nothing now, and he also hid the redstone somewhere else. And before they can get any information out of it, he dies. So yeah, after that, next is a scene showing the wreckage of Earth and them deciding, well, where do we go now? What do we do? But then suddenly Batman shows up after he gone missing for the 9 years, and he tells them that he had been locked away in cosmic prison after the events of Batman 2: The Battening, but he tells them that while he was there, he broke out a day after being locked in prison, to which they then realize that the cosmic realm has the ability for them to go backwards through time and stop all this. So they create a time machine out of a cabinet, and they decide to write it to different eras to get back all the things. Now the problem I have with this here is that why couldn't they go backwards in time far enough that they kill Shrek, kill Shrek with a gun and go back to the present to fix everything. But anyway, so I'm going to go chronologically with this. So they split up into 3 different teams and go out to retrieve the 7 things. I don't know. First we have I'm going to cover this chronologically. First, we have Mario, Iron Man, and Shadow the Hedgehog. So they go back in time to the part in fifth. To the part in one of the earlier movies where we see the invasion of the Martians and the conquest of Sir Tiber Septim the Ugly. But they go backwards in time to that point to get some of that good stuff. And there Mario ends up meeting up with Mario ends up meeting up with old ends up meeting with John Mayer, and John Mayer explains to him that if they take the stuff for if they take the something from these timelines or from these points in the past and end up going to the present with them, or end up shifting the course of reality a certain way, then they'll end up creating about some different branching timelines. That's why they couldn't go back and kill Shrek. Okay, never mind. I'm just an idiot. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. But you see, so Mario then explains to him, now listen here. Now listen, so how about we borrow these, then we'll return these to prevent any of those evil timelines from occurring, you see. We don't want any trouble, you see. John Mayer agrees to this, and he decides to give him a device for properly locating and obtaining these things. And so first they hitch a ride on a helicopter and find the time travel thing. I don't know. In the middle of the third eye of Sanctuary, who was the main antagonist of Pokemon the movie Adventure in Hell. So they steal his eye, and they then try to go get the other ones, which are currently being delivered through Amazon to Red Mist Central. But then they have to they obtain so they obtain they obtain they obtain the big middle piece or something in a scene that's kind of cool. It's a scene where Shadow has to find has to fight he has to fight an android that is being piloted by a squirrel, and this android would later be used during his creation. Never mind, it's confusing if I explain it all and stuff. And he manages to psych it out by tricking it into thinking that Mashed Potato Johnson did not die 20 years ago, and then he knocks it out and shoots its leg. I don't know. But then they come into a huge problem, and this scene was really cringy when it showed up. You see, they suddenly get into this weird joke where Iron Man tries to get the blue energem, Will Smith and some other guy is there. I don't remember him from the other movies. He's probably one of the people who died at the end of the last one. But they're there, and Will Smith is like trying to. Like Iron Man questions this guy, trying to psych him out, get the energem, and Will Smith's like trying to tell him, oh, okay, don't say something stupid, and then it just keeps going on and on. It's like a Family Guy sketch of some kind. I mean, like, I am a fan of Family Guy. I think it's one of the greatest shows ever. Seth MacFarlane is talented, but come on, if you're gonna do a Family Guy sketch, at least add in some blood, gore, dark comedy, and urinating in the viewer's mouth in order to make it funny, because that's what makes every Family Guy sketch funny. So then next, it ends up being tossed around a bit and thrown a bit until friggin' Loki finds it, decides to flig off, and then they're like, well, and then they go back. But then okay. Next segment. I'm doing these in more so a certain order of stuff. So Batman, Thor, and Jack Nicholson end up arriving in what was clearly Cinderella's castle, and they end up. And they end up having to obtain some of the things. I don't know, but then they see their good friends Poochie and Flim Jim and also Balio Miley, and they're like, well, and then Thor's like, wait, we gotta save them before they die, but then they're like, no, we're not creating even more timelines. So they go and Thor ends up having a conversation with Poochie before he leaves to his home planet, he inspires him to see if he is still worthy of Excalibur, and he is. But then there's a scene where Batman pretends to kill Jack Nicholson in order to distract the guards long enough for Thor to steal some of the stones off of Don Paulo, here we have okay, so here is the next segment. Those teams return. So those teams are thinking, oh wait, we don't have that many time travel points left. We're running out of pocket money here. What if we accidentally end up landing in Bill and Ted universe or something? But then Mario tells Jack Nicholson, wait a minute, if you and me go back to 1971, then we can retrieve the one thing we forgot and get a bit more coins so we can help this situation here. And so they go back in time, where there's the inevitable Stan Lee and Adam West cameo appearances. But then they go into the public restroom to obtain to steal some coins, pocket them off of what's his name again? Off of the Atom, obviously. But then Jack Nicholson urinates on Mario's shoe. He's like, "What, are you crazy? What are you doing to my shoe?" And Nicholson's like, "I was marking my territory, but then you got into the way." And then the Atom walks over and asks them what's going on, and while Nicholson is explaining, Mario pockets off the coins, and then they make a run for it, and they secretly steal the missing cyan thing from the guards or something. And then okay, here's the final time travel segment. So then the weird bee kid, I can't remember his name, and Audrey Jr. End up on World 6109, which was the world where New Pakistan and New Atlantis were. Which were ironically the older lands that were bombed 7 million years ago, and they end up finding and they end up finding Waluigi dancing around, singing to the tune of Oboe. And then like when he gets to when he gets to the thing or something, they then knock him out, and they then knock him out and take it from the thing and switch it out with the idol. But then before any of the bounty hunters like Boba Fett, the Lizard Man, the robot, and I don't know, Ed, I don't know, before they show up, like and then they find the altar of the Aztec rituals, and they're greeted by Mephistopheles, and he tells them that they have to sacrifice one of them in order to obtain the ghost thing, and they're like arguing back and forth whether he's lying or not, and eventually the two just cry at the thought of it, until the junior tells him, "Remember me," and then sets himself ablaze, leaving the bee creature to be crying a lot and very sad. But then he gets the thing, but then like the aliens abduct him, and Shrek is looking, and Shrek is torturing him for details, and then he decides to taunt him by saying, "You know, lad. I'm sure your lizard friend would have been eager to tell me that sort of stuff." And then the bee questions what he's meaning, and he then says, "Let's just say, lad, he suffered the same fate as the other two," and then he comes in, revealing that he knows that he's from the future, and decided decided to use two time travel coins to reach his hand in and pull out his friends or something, and he's like holding the only living member that he didn't kill. What was it? The purple guy, the horny guy. I'll call him that. He's holding the horny guy hostage as well, and is about to kill him. But then the bee kid decides to tell him everything, and so so he then realizing that the people are probably waiting in their cabinet time machine for him. He decides to put a mind control thing on him, and has him deliver both the other things to them. And the horny guy tells him he won't get away with this, and he's like, judging by the future you came from, clearly I have. So they go back to the present, Batman has to hold the things using the power glove, but Iron Man doesn't know where the Redstone is, but he then remembers that the Sasquatch from the movie prior gave him a blue pill, but before he uses it, Batman brings back all life, and there's a scene where and there's a part where Mario looks and is like, guys, I think we did. And then Shrek fires a missile out his magnum dong because the hypnotized B-boy brought his Star Destroyer to the future. And then they like escape and see his army of flying enemies or something, but they're all like miles away, not doing anything, and Shrek's just sitting there, and they Shadow, Thor, and Jack Nicholson go up to him, and he tells them, You know, lads, I thought that all I needed to do to ensure that all things do not die, and all crime is lacking, is just to tear the universe apart and kill off some unneeded material. But then, seeing your friends coming from the future, and seeing how these detectives, you call them, seem miserable and depressed, and showing that, and trying to describe how much their world has been destroyed, their government has collapsed, I realized all sapient beings cannot fully like anything you present to them, cannot fully exist in balance. So, I must become God and make sure no one else tries to get rid of this heaven. and so he fights them, and they like get bee slapped, uh, and like then suddenly when the armies are about to charge, suddenly Mario looks up to the sky, and looks and sees what looks like a portal opening, and he says, "Look, the eagles are coming." And then like huge crowds of people then begin to shout, "The eagles are coming," as then it's revealed the battle of five armies have arrived to save them. And we get to see all the currently living characters show up, and they then get into an amazing fight scene, and it's really amazing. And Aquaman punches the dolphin like in the first Avengers film, and Wed Dick and Pink Guy ride jet skis into the heart of the Kraken, and also we get to see, and also we see a nice reference to the first first Mario Brothers movie, where Bowser turns into a Tyrannosaurus Rex and whips off the head of an Aerophos. But then Iron Man and Shrek fight each other, and then Iron Man takes the blue pill and finds Sasquatch, and he tells him, "Iron Man, here, you have shown you are worthy. Take this." And he gives him the red gem, and then he punches Shrek in the face, and then Shrek kicks him in the groin and throws him 20 feet away, and he's like, when I put things back in the order, laddie, I'm going to take you like I should have done in this future. But then he realizes that Iron Man emptied out his power glove, and he then kills off all of Shrek's army, and then Shrek looks at them all, and then looks up towards the sky as he turns to light, and dies back to his original homeworld, and then Iron Man keels over and dies, and we see the world celebrating their victory and honoring the fallen heroes, and then it ends. There is nothing after that. So overall, it's a fine enough movie. Although I am disappointed that we didn't see the nostalgia critic that much in the movie. But then again, I'm not really sure if Deadpool 2 is canon. But yeah, that was a fine enough movie. I'd waited 7 out of 15 on the awesomest scale. Uh, Although, however, a major problem I had with the movie was that there wasn't battle situations and stuff. I don't know. It was fine. It was a fine movie. Anyways, that's about all I have for this. Yeah. I hope that was a fine movie. I will see you next time. Goodbye.